It is 7:17 and we will start the council meeting. Call the council meeting to order. The first item is the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our roll call.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay, Miss Bollenbacher.
Here.
Mr. Chandler.
Here.
Miss Compatello.
Here.
Mr. Marks.
Here.
Mr. Oliverio.
Here.
Miss Pakalnik.
Here.
Mr. Rodilla.
Here.
Mayor Perry.
Here.
Solicitor Corbel.
Here.
And Engineer Minsterman.
Here.
And myself, thanks.
Right, we have a quorum. The consent agenda. So on the OneDrive were the council meeting minutes from November 30th, along with the bill list from December 14th. Looking for a motion to approve the December 14th consent agenda.
So moved.
Ms. Compatello,
Second.
Mr. Chandler, any discussion or question? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Public comments on agenda items. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on tonight's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Please state your name and physical address for the record. Do we have anybody signed in?
We have one signed in. James, was this about something on the agenda or was, okay. Well,
After the meeting,
cool.
okay. And on Zoom? Okay. And on Zoom, please raise your hand. Okay.
No hands.
Thank you. President's report. So we have a December 28th council meeting, so we'll check about that towards the end. So that is all I had for my report. The mayor's report.
I don't have much tonight, just that the seniors had their Christmas party and invited me and were happy to see me. That was about it.
Okay. Solicitor's report.
Yes.
I just wanted to let council know, it appears that the zoning hearing board will be meeting on December 27th to make a decision in the pending variance request matter. That's all right.
And is that hearing open to the public?
Absolutely.
Okay,
But they are taking no additional testimony, as my understanding, so you can come and watch and the zoning hearing board will make the sausage and vote.
okay, very good. All right, engineers report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing to add in addition to the report that's been submitted.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Manager's report.
I have nothing to add in addition to mine. Thanks.
Standing committee reports. So finance and administration, Ms. Terry.
So we are looking for a motion to adopt the resolution 2325 authorizing the sale of the 2019 Ford Interceptor to Elizabeth Township for $15,000. So basically, we have our new cruiser just put on the road, and prior to that, there had been an agreed upon sale to Elizabeth Township, and it is a very good price.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Rodilla.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Bokalnik, any discussion or questions?
What is the vehicle valued at?
I'm sorry?
What is the vehicle valued at?
It's hard to get a value for these because they're not normal Blue Book cars. And they have a lot of adaptations done. So I actually don't know the appraised value. Yeah.
The fact that we do have a sale period is quite good.
The current one that we had, I think, was a $50,000 vehicle and it needed $20,000 worth of add-ons, like a caged for the back and all the different locks and things that they do on a police vehicle. It was on the invoice for it, so I think it'd be very hard to sell something.
Yeah, we sold another one exactly like this to Elizabeth in February.
Any other discussion?
Was the price in February, this right around this 15,000 mark? Yeah, cool.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
All right, the next thing on the Finance Committee agenda is reviewing budget resolutions for fee schedules. Manager Price, can you help us with that?
Sure. The only significant change that was made to the fee resolution was adding the opportunity for people to rent our rooms on a weekly or monthly basis. Right now, you can rent the community room one time and it's a fee. And then if you want to rent it again, you have to pay another fee. We're setting up this weekly rate so that if people wanted to have classes here or something like this is a way for them to do that at a discount, but then also benefit us by not having to have the administrative cost of continually renting it. And then I added a fee structure for our meeting rooms, assuming that we're able to get those built sometime or get those renovated sometime this year. Other than that, there are no changes to the fee schedule.
Okay, and then the wage rates, we have a note here that we're going to review them in January. We don't have to deal with them
That's correct.
before the end of the year.
That's correct.
And then our 2024 millage rate, there are no changes to that for about the sixth or more year.
That's correct.
All right. So the next thing is a motion on our budget. We just concluded what we had hoped would be our final budget workshop. So I am going to start by asking for a motion to adopt the 2024 general fund, road fund, sewer fund, and capital project budgets as advertised, appropriating specific sums estimated to be required for the specific purposes of the borough government set forth during the year 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Okay, so this was off of the back of the last meeting, yes?
Yeah.
So we had talked about potentially tabling this, potentially pushing things out here and having another meeting. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm all for giving the extra couple of days here to look back over the budget with a fine tooth comb for those of us that want to, especially because we have not only the council president, but two people on the finance committee who wouldn't mind taking a second glance. So that would be myself and John. So I think we should just take the extra couple of days here, just and what, as far as meeting times and stuff, I can make whatever work, but.
Can we, since I know our budget workshop was also public, but I don't know how many people were listening then, not many. We did go have a budget workshop this evening that started at 6:30 and went over some changes, some small changes, but some changes to the budget that came in last minute because of some updated numbers. And that's what our council is considering, taking a closer look at those before we pass it potentially.
Yeah, more or less. And really the highlight, at least for myself, was, and I know we had kind of made a pretty quick decision during the budget workshop to back out of budgeting for a new police cruiser next year and paying for it out of the bond fund. I think that was at least the big item, but just kind of given that we're still 35,000 in changes. We just wanted to take another glance over those changes given the new data.
So given the size of the discrepancy and my trust in Jim and Coletta, I'm going to vote in favor of passing the budget today. But that's my personal opinion.
Any further questions or discussion?
I suppose I'll also say the changes made a lot of sense to me. Would be in favor of supporting it today, but I also understand the questions that people have. And if we would like to come take a few more days and reconvene, that's also on the table for me.
Agree with, yes, to all those things. If it goes to reconvening and is approved, is that all it needs to be, or is there something else after that? Is that it? Just meaning at that meeting, like we review, everyone, they noodle on it. They're like, yes, all of these changes make sense.
Like that would be the only thing on our agenda for that.
Yes.
Plus the tax resolution, since you were not on your microphone.
But yes, that's just my question. We reconvene, we give everyone a chance to look at those changes and then approve it on that evening.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there also the possibility, if you approved it tonight and you have the reorg meeting in January, you still have the ability to reopen the budget if there's any concerns? Is that correct?
You do, but then you have to pass it by like the middle of February. You have to advertise it and everything again. So it's a little more convoluted.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All right. Take votes.
Yes. Are you doing a call vote?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say we need to make sure we give Aaron
So,
an extra second.
wait a minute.
So
My question is, are we going to vote, or is there a desire to reconvene on it? Because if we vote today and vote it down, what does that leave us? Steve, I mean, we're better off to.
I would prefer if you would agree to if the will of council, and maybe we don't know where everybody is at this point. I don't think we do, because not everybody's chimed in and said, this is what I'm going to vote for. I'd prefer if you could do that, and then you could just withdraw your motions and seconds and pick a date and then make a motion to reconvene or meet on the 28th. And no motion would be needed for the 28th. But if you turn it down, then you can't come back in the same meeting. So then you would have to come back on the 28th if you would follow through on this motion, and the votes would be to turn down the budget. We would have to come back on the 28th, or you could pick another day and we could advertise it earlier than that, but you'll have to spend the money on an ad, which will be a few $100.
I have a question related to that. If we do reconvene on any given day, let's say it is in a few days, would that meeting be able to be hybrid if not everyone is able to be in person? Or would the reconvene need to be in person?
It can be hybrid, but you have to have a quorum present in the meeting room.
Of four.
Four, correct.
So I will not be withdrawing my motion.
I haven't chimed in yet. I'll just say that I am comfortable with the changes. I am fine with the budget going through as it is.
Agreed with Aaron. I'm comfortable passing it tonight as is.
I concur. Like I said, I think I have faith in Jim and these changes and the finance committee and the questions that they ask. So I I am comfortable passing this, but I do understand wanting to see both sides, but yeah, I'm fine with it.
Any further discussion? Okay, we can do a roll call if you want to do it for that. There's been requested.
So I request each name and their vote.
Yeah.
Ms. Bollenbacher, what's your vote?
Aye.
Mr. Chandler,
Aye.
Ms. Compatello,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Oliverio,
Nay.
Ms. Pakalnik,
Aye.
and Mr. Radilla.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion passes 6-1. All right.
The next thing we have is 2024 tax millage resolution. And as I mentioned earlier, there's no increase in the millage from the 2021, 22, 23 rates. So for fiscal 2024, the tax levied on all real property will be the sum of 8.59 mils on each dollar of assessed valuation, or the sum of $8.59 on each $1,000 of assessed valuation. 2.42 mils of said tax levy being dedicated to a permanent special road street improvement fund. So we are looking for a motion to adopt resolution 2023-24, setting the real estate millage rate for property for the year 2024.
So moved.
Mr. Marks,
Second.
Ms. Compatello, any discussion? So what this does mean is that from the past 3 years, this will be the 4th year, there will be no increase in the real estate tax to the residents.
From the borough.
What's that?
From the borough.
From the borough, right,
So-
exactly.
So
right,
if your
of
tax
course.
bill goes up, it wasn't this body who made it happen.
Right, the real estate for Crafton Borough, and that is 4 years, which is typically not heard of. So that's something to realize as we go through this. It can't continue forever, but we can do things to make sure that hopefully we keep it at that stable rate. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, the 2024 fee resolution. Now, this was available on Box and everybody's had a chance to review that. Does anybody like to have it read out? Or,
It's very long.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like
All right.
20 pages long.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, but just checking. And that's generally available to the public as well. All right, so we're looking for a motion to adopt resolution 2023-26, adopting the general fee schedule for the year 2024.
So moved.
Mr. Mark,
Second.
Ms. Compatello? Discussion?
So you already talked about this, Jim, right? The only change was adding fees for room rentals.
Yeah, that's correct. So adding weekly rental rates, like right now, we rent the community center for a given fee, and we rent, when we don't rent the meeting rooms yet, because they're not renovated yet, but so I put the community room as a possibility of renting it on a continuing basis. So if you rent it for more, I think it's 4 consecutive times, then you get a discounted rate. And you can rent it multiple times a week or multiple times over a few months. And the same goes for the meeting rooms. I set a rate, just a starter rate. I think it was $100 an hour or $100 for 2 hours, or something in that. But I don't remember what the exact rate is. And then we also had a continuing a rate of, if you wanted to have meetings there on a regular basis, you could pay for it at a cheaper rate for a given number of meetings. So those are the only changes in the fee resolution at this point.
If anybody's looking at the fee resolution, it's like item 17 under A, community center rentals, right? Yeah.
Can I ask a question that's sheer curiosity? I like this change. I think it makes sense. It's going to make it a bit more accessible, but can you tell us a bit what the administrative burden is when we have people who are interested in renting it repeated times and we have to process it each time? Can you just describe a bit what that entails?
Sure, and it's a process that I'm going to improve as well. But currently, you come in, you get a paper application, you fill out the application, and we check the book, we make sure that it's not already rented, and then we take a deposit. So we take an entire amount, we take part of it as a deposit, which we will give back if the room is in satisfactory condition when we get back. And so that's one thing alone, just the deposit, taking and giving checks out is something that's a burden. Because we have to write a new check when we put it out. And so if you're renting it continually, then we only have to take one deposit for the entire length of stay. And then if any time when you leave it, it's not in satisfactory condition, then we can tell you not to come back, or you have to pay us another deposit. So those, both of those things just prevent us from having to rework it in the office. But another thing that is going to be happening in the new year it'll be an online form with online payment. So then that'll cut out some of the administrative cost of having the room open. And another thing that's an administrative cost, we have to schedule, we have to give the keys out. So we have to schedule to have the keys available. We also turn the temperature up in here. We turn it down when no one's in here. So we have to schedule that as well. So there's just a bunch of little things that you have to do every time you rent a room that add up to administrative costs. So.
But also good for the community to know that those spaces will be available for recurrent events, which I think is a good opportunity for us to have more scheduling and more activities that are not solely Borough run, but I think that's a good opportunity for our community to make use of the spaces we have.
Yeah, this actually came to, I was asked to do this 2 months after I started for a theater group that wanted to do their rehearsals here. And we set up a price, but they didn't, I think they must have found a better deal somewhere else, but I think advertising it and having it available would be a nice thing in the future.
Any other discussion or questions on the fee schedule? I believe we had a motion. No, I forgot if we had a motion. Okay. It was like, we were at the discussion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Anything else?
That's it for me.
All right. Community Services and Infrastructure, Ms. Compitello.
Right, these updates are a little shorter this meeting. We do have a new borough engineer who's been here for the past couple of meetings now, who's been moving a lot of this forward. So I just have general updates. We have no major decisions to make this evening for this committee, but the Broadhead project that we've been working on for quite some time. Status update for this meeting is that our borough engineer is working on securing the easements for a couple of the projects that we do need easements from before we can start the project in the spring. Borough's working hard to get those in place in the next month or so that we can stay on target and on track with the timeline for that project. The multi-municipal zoning project update. We are going to be scheduling a public outreach event in early February to get feedback from the public. This project has been ongoing for some time. The steering committee has been meeting and had met regularly throughout the fall to work with getting feedback back to the consultant. They're working on their final calibration tables. It's their major phase 2. It has gone to the planning commission, at the last planning commission meeting. And the next big phase is we will be doing a large public engagement, public outreach event. So we don't have that scheduled yet, but we're starting to get word out to the community that will be coming in early February. And we'll have more details soon with location and specific date.
And I can give you one quick update on that. We've received more than 60 pretty detailed comments on the website about the project, and I'll be providing once we anonymize it, make sure that none of it is. Some people put their where they live and stuff in there. So we've taken, once we've taken that out, we'll put that out to the public as well so that everybody can take a look at that.
Thanks. And that's a good regular reminder too, that we do have information about that on the website. And we have a link to a project specific website that has more information and updates and draft versions of the map on a project specific website that the consultant has set up. So that all can be found on the Crafton website. This will not be the last step either. We'll be scheduling a public outreach event in early February. The project will then go through final draft and it'll come to public review before it gets formally approved. And we're looking to do that by summer, by June, right, Jim? Because we do have to stay on target before our funding expires.
That's correct. June? We have to be done by June. Yep.
Next update, the Public Works Building. This has also been just a regular status update. We're reassessing the remaining plans and the work needed to complete the Public Works Building in order to determine the best path forward. This one started before my time on council, but it has been proceeding slowly and costs have gone up steadily over time. So we continuously reassess and try to keep it within the costs that we can afford. So as costs have gone up, we're reassessing again. So more updates to come. The stairs project, we've talked about this in the past few meetings. We had 5 different stairs projects identified and we put a bid out. 4 of them came in more expensive than anticipated. And one of them came in pretty much on target, actually a little less. So we have awarded that at a previous meeting, and that one stair project, the Belvedere stairs work, will be beginning soon. For the other 4, we're still on track to be putting together a new bid package shortly. And then the consent order agreement. Next steps. We do have to identify another project to meet the stormwater consent order for next year. We'll need to identify another project to further reduce our stormwater impacts. We've talked a little bit about this at the next meeting, and we will be preparing more of an update, a more detailed update from the engineer in January with some options and ideas for what our next steps might be next year. But in the meantime, we have sent a letter to DEP asking for a 6-month extension on the C20 work. In the meantime, Gateway, the administration and council are working to should have started with this. It's on the other side of the page. This is what I just said. We're working to develop some potential ideas for what projects might fulfill the requirements of that consent agreement. And we'll be discussing those in more detail and making decisions on which ones to proceed with beginning in January of 2024. And those are all the updates for my committee. So unless there are any questions on those, that's all on my agenda.
Thank you. Community recreation, community events, Ms. Bolenbacher.
Thank you. First, I'd like to start off by thanking the rec board. They did a ton of work, and I think for the Celebration of Lights event, and it went off beautifully. I think it went very well. So I wanted to thank them for all their hard work. I also wanted to thank them as well as the Crafton Heritage Group and all the homes that participated in the Christmas house tour. There were, my understanding, over 100 people who purchased tickets for that. So it was very successful this year. That's it. For upcoming events, actually, Santa comes around this coming Saturday, the 16th, starting at 9 a.m. So listen for the fire truck. He'll be coming with that. And the rec board also planned their first event for 2024. They have a senior dinner planned for Saturday, February 17th, with details to come. On to Crafton logo. I don't have any updates on that. We have a local Crafton artist and designer developing logos to be selected by the community. Jim or Coletta, if there is an update, let me know. I don't know of one.
No update at this point. We're working on a scope of work with the designer. I'm very excited. They have designed some impressive logos that you would be familiar with, that are classic Pittsburgh logos, Cultural Trust, and several others. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but you would recognize them. So we're excited for that work moving forward. We hope it probably take about 2 months.
All right. Thank you for that, Jim. And then lastly, we talked about the digital sign policy at the previous meeting. So tonight, I would like to make a motion to approve the digital sign policy that was presented to council at the November 30th meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Marks,
Second.
was that Ms. Compatello? Okay, Ms. Compatello, second. Discussion? And everybody has it right in front of you or on the OneDrive. And again, this, as a reminder, is for the sign in Crafton Park and just having a policy around what we can actually post on that sign. And we didn't have that.
One really minor thing, this version that we have printed out, is that also going to be on the Borough website?
We could put it on the Borough website. It is not currently on the Borough website.
If so, we can just correct the spelling of Steuben.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Unless we want to make a motion to change the name of Steuben to make it easier for everybody.
We would have to do that in conjunction with the city of Pittsburgh, wouldn't we?
The agenda at this
Oh,
point.
yeah, we can add it for next meeting. It's very, nobody spelled it right, so
Well, there's no money involved. It's de minimis, right?
that's
It's
right.
no-
Flip out the signs or white them out. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Ms. Polkownik, do you want to talk about the attendance? Because I think that's important.
Yeah, so like Aaron mentioned, the house tour, Crafton Heritage, as well as the Recreation Board, was a huge success. We heard once the day was over, the evening, there's actually about 400 tickets were sold, whether that was in advance or the day of. So big, again, just reiterating what Aaron said, big thank you to all those houses that participated, because it was a solid day. People were very excited and the weather held out, which I think also really helped. And again, just props to Blue Snail, who you were able to buy your tickets at. I was down there on Tuesday and she said she's had 65 sales, which was like a real big win for her. So big, glad that worked out as well.
And also the celebration of lights, which was last.
Yeah, celebrations of lights, again, just reiterating, it was a huge success. The weather worked out great. Everyone that was there had a really nice time. And if you drive by the park, the lights still look really, really lovely. So make sure you enjoy them as you go by.
And there were people not Crafton residents from some of these events, especially the house tour. So it was pretty impressive to the publicity that got in the interest. So. Yeah, again, thanking the rec board for it is a ton of work, and as Santa, the Snow Princess, everybody involved in the celebration of lights was a lot. Okay, commission vacancy, Mr. Chandler.
Yes, not a ton to report tonight, no motions, but we do have some current positions available as well as many upcoming for next year. If you're interested in any of these, please do apply at craftonborough.com/commissions. And with that, we have currently we have one civil service alternate, one zoning hearing board alternate, and then we also have a recreation board position that we're hoping to have filled at the next meeting. Just wrapping up some things with that. And then other than that, next year we have quite a few. To start, we have 2 library boards spots available. One will be at the end of January and one will be at the end of February of next year. One shade tree commission is expiring at the end of March next year. One planning commission at the end of April next year. And then civil service commission. We have one expiring at the end of July of next year. 2 recreation boards at the end of September, and then 2 zoning hearing board regular spots available at the end of next year, as well as 1 zoning hearing board alternate seat available at the end of next year. And that's all I have.
And as a reminder, if somebody is an alternate, they can apply for the regular seats too. And that would be for the civil service and the zoning hearing board, I believe are the 2. So folks can apply for those positions even if they're in their current position. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chandler. Council of Government, Ms. Ballenbacher.
There has not been a meeting since our previous council meeting. So the only announcement is the next meeting will be next Thursday, December 21st at 6:30. It's in Carnegie. It is the Christmas party. If anybody would like to join me, they are having a grab bag, a gift between $20 and $25. And there is a chance I actually may need somebody to go in my place. So if anybody is potentially able to, please let me know and I'll let you know if I need that to happen.
What was the date again, Aaron?
Next Thursday. So that's the 21st, I believe.
Right. Some community announcements. So the borough office hours, the borough will close next Friday, December 22nd at 12 noon, and also be closed on Monday, December 25th, and Tuesday, December 26th, and also Monday, January 1st. So lots of holidays occurring within the week this year. Garbage pickup, as a reminder, will be pushed back to Wednesday for 2 weeks. So that's the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. It will be pushed back to Wednesday for both of those. And that includes recycling for whichever week that is. Upcoming council meetings. So this is where we have to discuss the item now. Now that the budget has passed, we do have a council meeting scheduled for December 28th at 7:15. Do we need a motion to cancel that if required?
Unless there's objection.
We can just ask. Okay. Okay. So is anybody objecting to canceling the December 28th council meeting? Okay, so we can cross that off. December 28th, we will cancel. I believe we have to advertise or make it public that it was canceled.
Yeah.
Post.
We have to post the door, right?
Yeah, you post the door.
And put it on.
Okay. The next is the reorganization meeting, and that is on Tuesday, January 2nd at 5:00 p.m. We discussed that at a prior meeting. That's where we approve all of the vendors that we use for the next 2 years, along with the officer seats for council.
And swear in our
Swear
newly
in,
elected
yes.
council members.
Right. We have 3 that will be swearing in for that, and that will be happening.
And to that point, I have paperwork for all of the folks that are going to be sworn in. So Kirsten, Pam, and Mike. Thanks.
And then the next council meeting will be Thursday, January 11th at 7:15. So at the reorg meeting, I believe we also select when we have council meetings and the dates, but assuming that they keep consistent, then that would be our next meeting. All right, and Santa does come this Saturday. He will be here at 9 o'clock with Mrs. Claus and the Crafton Volunteer Fire Department on a fire truck. You will hear the sirens for quite a few hours on that day if you've lived here before. And he keeps on coming around. And then he's going to go to Thornburg and Roslyn Farms. And then he'll go back to the North Pole, and then he'll be back on December 24th. So looking forward to that. And that's one of Crafton's oldest traditions. All right. Anything else to add? No comments? Okay. Public comment. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Please state your name and physical address for the record. Jane? Jane, just state your name
Good
and
evening,
address.
Council. 28 Duncan Avenue, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15205 for the record, -2545, Jesse. Thank you. I would like to just say, Mr. Price, I had addressed to see if I can, it's very respectful that you're here. I did not know that Mr. Sample is no longer with the borough. Don't know why, don't care to know why, politely said. I liked him a lot and he helped me out a lot. I was wondering politely in just a statement, if we could revisit a statement of the backyard wall that council came over to visit, where they did some destruction, where they were cleaning out some pipes and did a lot of equipment work and tracked through 28 Duncan Avenue. And I asked to see if they could repair the wall, but I didn't get a chance to really speak upon my mother's behalf, who's in deceasement. I'm just wondering if we could revisit that, because they did work right in there and brought a lot of heavy equipment and moved a lot of block that made the wall loose. I don't know who to speak to. Mr. Price, I could continue the conversation tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm actually not familiar
It's
with that.
yeah, I took
yeah.
pictures and my sister can vouch for that or whatever.
Okay,
Miss Kathleen Ferrer took pictures and actually addressed it with council, but I didn't get a chance to do that. Regards to Mr. Sample, I say thank you for his service, even though he's not here at this time. I wish him well. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, and Jane, we can talk tomorrow and we can take a look at what the issue is and see if there's anything we can do.
it's about the wall.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Is anybody else signed up? Anybody else? All right, and on Zoom, you may raise your hand.
Nope.
Great. One last item I had was, I did want to thank Mr. Marks. This will be his last council meeting, and he served with us for 2 years. And you know, your contributions, Justin, from not only the finance side, but you know, the questions and making sure that, you know, we're all informed and not being afraid to bring your opinion forward is been super appreciated. So thank you. Thank you so much for your service.
I will miss it in some regards and not in others. I hope Mr. Hof can carry the torch with pride.
You can certainly attend our meetings and come.
Now I can-
President.
I'm sure I will show up to a few on the other side of the chair here. Yes.
Very good. Well, thank you. Anybody else? No? Right. If anybody has any objections, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. We will see you January 2nd.